Hey guys, pretty good spike rally we got going on here. I'm going to do this pretty much off the cuff because we've got quite a reversal, which may be a good sign, but we're not out of the woods yet. So we're going to have to see how the structure sets up before we can more or less confirm the bottom is in. But so far, this is a pretty good bounce that we're seeing across all the cryptos. And we're even seeing a little bit in equities too overnight. And meanwhile, oil continues to go crazy. It's insane. But on Bitcoin, you can clearly see this green candle. We got as far up as 41,929. So over the past 24 hours or so, this thing has just skyrocketed. We're not quite back at the highs we hit earlier this last week or so, earlier this week, but looking pretty good so far. Ethereum's got the same story going on, about 5% up. It's spiking up just as well. And you see that kind of action across all the altcoins as well. When I look at Bitcoin Cash, same thing, Ethereum Classic. We've got ourselves something setting up, and it doesn't have the same shape and everything. Dash has an even possibly the most impressive of all these relative to the previous first wave. And I've mentioned before, Dash seems to be one of the earliest indicators of shifting sentiment. So that could be a good sign. A couple other ones, Chainlink, pretty solid setup there. XLM, Stellar Lumens, not quite as impressive, but we're still seeing a big spike. And EOS's spike's looking pretty good. Buying a look at Polygon. Yeah, so you got basically what you could count as three waves up in all these cryptos. I'm going to start off with Bitcoin. And when we look at this internal structure, we bottomed at right about 37,000-ish, which is just well, it almost hit the 76.4% retrace from what I was calling our larger wave one. So that is about as much as you can retrace for the most part without invalidating your impulsive setup. Now, of course, it wouldn't officially invalidate until we cross down below this red line here at $34,332 for Bitcoin. But this is looking good for that reason, because we are going the opposite direction. Now, what could this possibly be? What are some alternate interpretations? Well, this is three waves up so far. When I use my fib extension tool here, put that in place. Let's pretend that this is a first wave up to about here, maybe. And we have exceeded the 1.764% extension. Sorry, 1.764 extension. And that's a little too much usually for just a third wave alone. So we really need to see a sideways consolidation before we have another fifth wave. So if I'm a bull, this is what I'm looking for. I want this thing to get up to about here, possibly already in our third wave, and we need this thing to go a bit higher for our fifth wave, something like that. The same would apply in Ethereum. Ethereum it actually looks a little bit more, I would say almost a bit more corrective. So again, our C wave, our third wave, whatever this is, it got just past the 1.0 extension. Here, I'd like to see this ideally go a bit higher. And of course, it would depend on where you're counting your 1-2 from. So if I count this little structure here as our 1-2, then we've actually hit the same extension as in Bitcoin. And let me go to one of these other ones. EOS was interesting. This actually looks quite pretty here. It's very impulsive looking. You don't see very sharp pullbacks within the structure. And this looks convincingly enough like possibly a second wave. I'd like to see a second wave go a bit deeper, but sometimes the shift is so quick and swift that you don't see too much depth. As a matter of fact, that did retrace a bit more than 38.2%. So that is sufficiently deep for a second wave, and the 1.236 extension there. So right now, we've got something. It's definitely three up so far. I cannot make this, I can't interpret this as a five wave up at all at the moment. And the first three waves will look the same, whether this is an ABC up or it's your actual five wave structure up. You won't know until we see how we pull back in the next leg of this thing. So I would like to see us go sideways, maybe a shallow retrace down to about, let's see, if we've got the 1.764, probably no more, probably wouldn't want to see this retrace any more than about 40,138 for Bitcoin. Of course, in Elliott wave theory, you don't break an impulsive pattern setup until you get below the peak of the wave one, which is close to 39,003, something like that, 39,146. The same rules would apply in Ethereum and all the altcoins as well. So again, like to see a shallow retrace and a nice fifth wave, but then we still wouldn't be out of the woods because we would still need to see a three-wave retrace. Again, we need to see a proper three-wave setup, three-wave retrace. So maybe we go something like this, slightly deeper. That will be our wave 2. And then we need to see a rally past the top. So I know there's a lot we need to see still before this proves itself. And well, like I said, we haven't invalidated anything, so that's good. Our 1-2 is still holding on. We actually retraced in Bitcoin, as I mentioned, about as deep as I would have liked to have seen anyway. In Ethereum, we've retraced a bit deeper than ideal here. We've actually exceeded our 76.4% retrace, as I mentioned in our last update. But Ethereum, again, does have more volatile action than a lot of these coins do. I'm going to pick on Dash again because it does have as much history. It's kind of more mellowed out pattern. When we look at the retrace here, we I don't think we made the 76.4% retrace on this. Actually, yeah, just about almost there, not quite. And Dash could be a 1-2. It does look like we have, you could call that a 1-2. Maybe that's the 1-2, whatever it is. We've extended quite high here. We're actually almost back to the high that we hit earlier this week. So good sign in Dash. Real quick, I'm also going to look at EOS because I keep reiterating this one narrowly escaped the black hole below in our original pullback a month earlier. And we came very close to invalidating this whole setup. If we broke this red line at 186, then I would be looking for a lower low, but that could explain why we've seen such a powerful reversal in EOS. So as I mentioned, we got 3 up. It's a good start. We need to see this thing consolidate sideways a little bit for a 4th wave. It may not take a long time. You might just see a small retrace like this, and then you could see that 5th wave. And as I showed in the Bitcoin chart, we want to see a 3-wave pattern back before we take off in the bigger rally. So that's the small picture. Just going to quickly graze through here on the big picture. So this is the was this 4-hour chart. And as I mentioned, we do have a setup that could take us lower if we break the low that we hit on February 24th. If that happens for Bitcoin, look for the upper 20s, mid to upper 20s would be probably where we would drop. And if that happens, I would expect to be a very quick spike down, and it would probably be quite short-lived. So if you have spare dry powder, that could be a good place to deploy it. Same thing with Ethereum. And full disclaimer, I did already buy. I'm already allocated all the way. So I don't expect to sell. If we do pull into this box, I'm just going to hold through. There may be some allocation changes I make, or maybe I'd buy a little bit more. But for the time being, I am allocated about as much as I want to be. And I haven't changed my stance since. And honestly, we haven't invalidated anything. It actually looks much better on this big picture. This could actually go 1-2, 1-2 in Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash. Same kind of thing. We actually hit the double bottom. I think I covered that in a previous update. And look at Ethereum Classic. That was the last video I did on altcoin. Same thing. You see higher lows. That's good. Litecoin spiked down kind of ugly there, but we haven't invalidated our current rally. Doge, it might be a meme coin, but you guys probably know by now I'm quite a fan of Doge's Elliott wave setup. Dash, like I mentioned earlier, you can see that green candle spiking up. Polkadot looks pretty clean. It actually looks like 5 up, 3 down here. That looks better than most of these altcoins. Chainlink, same thing. Solana, same thing. So I'm going to spare you too much more detail. That's about where we are. SHIB, of course, was following its own pattern, and we've done nothing to validate anything so far. So look, I'm cautiously optimistic, but even if things take a turn for the worst, I can't see us going too much slower. So I would probably just, like I said, recommend hodling or possibly view that as a buying opportunity. Now, before I do end this update, what would it take for me to change my mind on this rally structure? Well, this is again, Bitcoin, and it is the biggest crypto. So this would be my primary, well, it would be primary indicator sentiment. If we broke probably 22,178, then I would start getting quite concerned that our bullish setup is breaking. So that's a long way down from here. That is the 1.382 extension of this A wave, assuming that's the B wave. But as I did mention in an update not that long ago, we haven't even invalidated this green pattern yet because we never got that lower low compared to middle of 2021. So this still could be a 1-2, a large 1-2. And if that's the case, our projections overhead are pretty spectacular. So hold on tight. Don't panic sell. Keep watching and just take it in. Keep putting out updates, so don't forget to subscribe. That way we don't miss any of my updates. And if you like my video, don't forget to give me a like. Till next time, thank you for watching and happy trading.